Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lemon Live at 5. How are you? I hope you're doing well today. I have something in my ear that should not be there. And there we go. Glad that you're here. How are you? Are you guys still concerned? Are you still worried about me? Um, well, I am worried about myself, and my mom is worried about me, but we're all fine here. So, do you want to hear my story? Hi, everybody. Sorry about this morning. I'll tell you. Did they explain to you guys this morning what happened? Did you guys tell them what happened this morning, producers? About
Yes,
the
Katie.
show?
Katie filled everyone in.
Yes.
We
So
just
thank
told
you.
them it was a travel delay, so.
It was a travel delay. Thank you. Kate, I know you guys every time you're gonna be like, where is he? Did someone pick him up again? So I'll tell you my story, but before I want to thank Katie, and I think it was it Miles Taylor that was on? Miles Taylor?
Miles Taylor, and then Monique Presley
Monique
was
Presley
on.
and George Hahn. So thank you, right? George, Monique, Miles, and Katie. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys filling in, stepping in at the last minute. So you guys know what a week I've had. A week and a weekend. This week has been like 15 years. So what happened last night was I got to the airport. We took the red eye, which is typically the last flight, or one of the last flights. There are two. There's like an early red eye and then one that's a little bit later. Let me fix a light here. And so we took the one that was a little bit early because that I would get back in time, in enough time to do my show, the 10 a.m. show Eastern time. Because remember, we're on West Coast and it's a time delay. And so anyways, by the time I get on the plane, it's almost morning here. So we took almost the latest red eye. And when we sat on the plane, and then all of a sudden we were about to leave, and then we had to pull back to the gate. No, we had to pull back to another gate because there was some sort of, what'd they say? There was a leak or something? People started to smell gas or something on the plane. And then, by the way, this is like the fourth Delta. I don't know what's going on. I love you, Delta. You're my airline of choice, but I got to tell you, I don't know what's up. The last 4 flights that I've had with Delta have been delays, and it has not been weather. It's been mechanical. So I don't know what's up, but it ain't good. And I'm a loyal Delta. You know what? I love my points. I'm a diamond, medallion, million miler, the whole thing. And I got it because I lived in Atlanta. I worked for CNN. And I traveled all over the world. And so I had this great status. But Delta, you've been doing me wrong and a whole lot of people. It's not good. I love you, but you got to get your shit together. I don't know what's up. And so we sat on the plane and said they were going to fix it, had to bring the mechanics. First of all, the plane was late coming from, I think it came from Kennedy. The plane was late coming in, and that for mechanical reasons. And then when it got there, for some reason, it had an issue. And so we sat on the plane, and then they said, oh, it's going to be an hour until they fix it. And then they said it's going to be canceled. And by this time, it was like 1 in the morning. 1 in the morning. And by the time we all got off of the plane, it was like 2 in the morning. And then they said, well, we can send you to a hotel, but you can't get your luggage until 4:30 in the morning. It was just all kinds of craziness. And the person on the phone said, you can't leave the airport because you got to your luggage won't be transferred. And then finally the woman says, yeah, your luggage is going to be transferred. Long story short, and let me send this to you, Andy, because this was my evening. I didn't even think that I would show this, but I am going to show it to you. Share. And then Andy can, as soon as you can get it up, Andy, I know it's asking a lot here because I didn't tell you right in the beginning. So if you can get that up, Andy, that would be great. So we ended up with our dog. We took Gus with us because he's a senior dog, and we don't know how long he has, and he's very fragile, so we don't like to leave him with the sitter. And so we had Gus with us, and that is us sleeping on the airport floor as people were walking by saying, hey, Mr. Lemon, thank you. Nice to meet you. Keep going. Here I am sleeping on the floor in LAX. Isn't that amazing? And so that's it. I mean, crazy. Wow. Yeah. So considering the time that I've had, that was the last thing I needed. And then I got back here and my phone is acting up or whatever. And I don't have I don't know what's going on with it. So I wasn't in touch with my team. So it's a whole thing. But anyway, we will move on. Tonight, I'm going to be at City Winery. I don't know if there's a list or whatever, if there's a waiting list, but we're going to be there and you're going to hear all kinds of stories this evening. There's lots of interest in the City Winery thing tonight and tomorrow. So that's where we are. So you guys, thank you. Make sure you hit the like and hit the thumbs up because it does affect the algorithm. More people become aware of our conversation. Guys, we have AOC on today. You've been asking for AOC and we have her. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is going to be on later, answering all the questions, talking about all the things, chief among them, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of the press. We're going to talk to her, and we'll talk about some news of the day. But we have AOC on today, okay? Smash that like button, the thumbs up. Become a member. Thank you for all the folks who are becoming a member. And if you are a member, gift memberships, and make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. So, man, as you guys know, I have not shared a lot of what happened to me because I wanted to, I got a call from someone you know and love and that we've covered on this channel, and that is Jimmy Kimmel. And we just talked. He said, I was at my friend / agent's house, and he said, Jimmy wants to talk to you. And I said, sure, I'll talk to him. And we talked, and he said, anything you need, if you want to come on the show, come on the show. And I thought about it for a while, for like an hour or two. And then he said, why not? Because he's been through. And if I was going to do anybody's show, it would be Jimmy Kimmel. So then they were so kind to us. They got 16 minutes on late night. That is a lot of time. And so here's Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy asked me about my experience. And this is my experience that I shared with Jimmy Kimmel that I had not shared before. Okay. And it was harrowing. And I have more to share, but I can only say so much right now. But after this is all said and done, or maybe even before, I will share some stuff with you. Here it is.
So take us through what happened. It was Thursday night when they came to get you, right? Okay.
When they got me.
You're here in LA.
When the popo came.
Yeah.
You got to laugh at something, right? But look, it's very serious. I had gone to, I was here to cover the Grammys. I was going to do the red carpet. And I had gone to the Black Music Collective event that night, where the importance of Black music and artists and whatever. And the reason I cover it is because of the First Amendment, the freedom of expression, and the art of music is part of that. And then I'd gone to the Spotify party, and it's all young people, and they're like, Mr. Lemon, oh my God, I love watching you on TikTok. And I'm like, wow, that's different than my grandma loves watching you on CNN, so it's a whole new audience. And I got back to the hotel. I walked in I had my swag bag from the thing, and I was walking up to the room, and I pressed the elevator button, and all of a sudden I feel myself being jostled, and people trying to grab me and put me in handcuffs, and I said, what are you doing here? And they said, we came to arrest you. And I said, who are you? And then finally they identified themselves, and I said, if you are who you are, then where's the warrant? And they didn't have a warrant, so they had to wait for someone from outside, an FBI guy, to come in to show me a warrant on a cell phone. And by that time, I was like trying to, figure out what was going on to get my bearings, and they dropped all my stuff. My glasses had fallen on the floor. I'm like, I can't read that. So they had to pick my glasses up, and I read it, and still, what does that mean? So, and then there was a bunch of guys, and they took me outside. FBI guys were out there. I mean, it had to be maybe a dozen people, which is a waste, Jimmy, of resources, because I had told them weeks before, and maybe once or twice, that we would, I think my attorney tried to contact them once, maybe twice, that I could just go in, and it would have to be the folks who were just working there that day, and they wouldn't have to have all these people following me around.
It's more than just a waste of resources. So they grab you and they take you where?
Well, you're right about more than just a waste of resources. They want that. They want to embarrass you. They want to intimidate you. They want to instill fear, and so that's why they did it that way. They took me down to a holding place in the federal courthouse.
And they give you mugshots, strip search, all of that stuff?
No strip search, but mugshot, fingerprints, the whole 9 yards, twice.
Did they put you in a cell?
I was in a holding room.
You're in a holding room?
Yes.
And how long are you in that holding room?
From about midnight, 12:30 to 1 or so the next day.
Who did you make your one phone call to?
Here's the interesting thing. I didn't have a one phone call. I never had a one phone call.
Wait a minute. I watch a lot of TV.
I know. That's right. I asked them, do I get my one phone call, Jimmy? They said, no, you don't. You get to talk to your attorney whenever the court says that you can. And so that wasn't until the next day. But I tell you how I got it out. I had my Apple Watch on in my phone. And I called my husband. I said, hey, Siri, call Tim. And he was asleep, went to his voicemail. And then I said, hey, Siri, call Abby Lowell, who's my attorney, and went to his voicemail. He was traveling back from someplace. And finally, I got into the front of an FBI agent's truck, and they had the handcuffs on me. And my bracelet, I had on a bracelet that my husband bought me for our wedding, which was this diamond bracelet, and it kept getting caught. and it was kind of hurting. And they said they'd take it off. And I said, do you mind taking that up to my husband in room blah, 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 blah. And one of the FBI agents said, sure, and took it up, and that's how my husband found out. Otherwise, no one would have known where I was.
Wow. All right, we're going to take a break.
And then
we'll
we went to a break, and Jimmy was very nice. Let me also tell you this at this part of the story, and I'll tell you a little bit later. But the ICE guys and the career professionals who work for Homeland Security and for the federal government, not the same. Those goons that are out there beating people up and violating due process rights, it's not the same as the folks who have been doing it for a while. The federal agents could not have been kinder. And they were just professional guys who were doing their job. And so I appreciate them for that. Now, the people who arrested me, not so much. They were Homeland Security as well. But yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. Now, there are people who are saying, oh my gosh, look, there are a lot of things out there that as you guys know, you cannot believe everything you read, everything you read in the newspaper, everything on television, everything someone says on the TV, everything that you read in an indictment. You cannot believe everything you read. So for all the folks who are like, ooh, so hoo ha ha, then, you need to hold your horses a little bit. Like if you think that this is somehow cut and dry and that I'm going to, it's going to go the way that you think it's going to go, you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen, but I think that people are going to be in, especially those who are cheering for me to, end up in the pokey. I think you're going to be in for a very rude awakening. But Andy, we have to somehow get that. Is there a way we can figure out to get that? Because it explains more than anything, I think. So that would be great. But so anyways, that was what happened to me. And I'm going to talk a bit about that with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, because it is important. And she wants to come on and talk about the freedom of expression and the freedom of speech. And I know that you guys want to hear about it. And I know that you guys, really care about me and you care about this country, but anyone who cares about this country should care that this administration is trampling all over the Bill of Rights. I don't know if they've even read the Bill of Rights. They're trampling all over the Constitution. I don't know if they've even read the Constitution. Perhaps they need my little pocket Constitution here, which tells you what the rights are and that there is a difference between protesting, and there is a difference between protesting and being a journalist. Huge difference. And there's a distinction, and that's not always pointed out in this particular situation purposefully. It's not. And so just remember, as the folks, my friends who have been on the television saying, and by the way, I want to thank all of the folks who have been out there on television, including Ana Navarro, Sonny Hostin, just in the paint going for me, Joy Behar, and even the conservatives on programs have been going and saying, this is outrageous and ridiculous. So I thank you for all of that, and all the journalists around the country and around the world. And my heart goes out to everyone who is in any kind of situation like this. Any kind of situation like this. If you look at the Daily Beast is saying Don spills shocking details about arrest, because I do talk a little bit more about it as we went on in that interview. The Guardian is saying the arrest of Don Lemon is a danger to all Americans. And it really is. Senator Mark Kelly is out there discussing the importance of the First Amendment, the importance of freedom of the press, and why this is such a dangerous time in our country. Here's Senator Mark Kelly.
It's not just about Don Lemon, Aaron. This is also about you and every other journalist in this country. If you cross this president, he's going to come after you. And we've never seen anything like this in our 250 years. That's why it's important for all of us to stand up and speak out and point out as frequently as we can the violations of people's rights that we're seeing from this White House.
And Mark Kelly is absolutely 100% right. The violations that we're seeing from this White House, and not just the breaking of the norms, the lawlessness of this particular White House. They're brazen and emboldened, and every time they get away with something, they are surprised they get away with it, and it just makes them even bolder. They just, okay, if we can get away with that, let's see what else we can get away with. And they just they're continuing. So, I don't know what else to say. I really want to show the video if we can find it, but I understand if it's because it explains things without me having to say it.
All right, I think I have it.
Okay, so I want you to sit back now. If you are a troll or a hater in the comments, and if you are a lemonhead and you love us in the comments, I want you to, like everybody, turn up the buzz, and I want you to watch this and listen to it closely.
You know that journalist Don Lemon was arrested yesterday by Trump's DOJ for simply reporting at a protest at a Minnesota church. But what you may not know is that the lengths Pam Bondi went through to try to charge Don Lemon. As it says here, the DOJ tried and failed to get arrest warrants from a magistrate judge, a federal judge, and the United States Court of Appeals for the 8th Circuit. The grand jury that they convened this week was the DOJ's 4th attempt at criminal action in this case. And that is the biggest joke of this indictment, is that there's 9 co-defendants, and Don Lemon is grouped in here with protesters who set out to go in the church, chant, and make their voices heard. Meanwhile, Don Lemon live streamed this entire event, almost 7 hours of content of before, during, and after this protest. But despite having concrete evidence of what Don Lemon actually did, Pam Bondi said this on Fox News.
Don Lemon, on video, blocked one of them, screaming, yelling at the pastor.
So I'm going to go through some of the allegations of what they say Don Lemon did on this day, and then I'm going to show you the actual video of what happened. And first off, let's take a look at this interaction between Don Lemon and the pastor of the church. As you can see, would any reasonable person say he's crowding him? He's leaning in close enough in a loud environment to hear him, and has a microphone that is passing back and forth. Now let's see how Pam Bondi and the DOJ describes this interaction. And from the indictment, it reads, with other co-conspirators standing nearby, defendants Lemon, Richardson, and Fort approached the pastor and largely surrounded him to his front and both sides, stood in close proximity to the pastor in an attempt to oppress and intimidate him, and physically obstructed his freedom of movement while Lemon peppered him with questions to promote the operation's message. So this is the end of Don Lemon's interaction with this pastor, and I want you to watch it and see whether it looks like he's oppressed or intimidated or has any trouble leaving this situation.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship. Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So that's one of the pastors of the church.
Oh my gosh, did he look petrified or what? Oh man, but it gets even better, because later in the indictment, they state at one point defendant Lemon posted himself at the main door of the church where he confronted some congregants and physically obstructed them as they tried to exit the church building to challenge them with facts about U.S. immigration policy. And here's actual video of Don Lemon here supposedly obstructing the door. As you can see, he opens it up here and then stands to the side as many parishioners come walking out. He just basically interviews some of them. This guy comes out with his hands up and he interviews him for a good 5 minutes, but never does he obstruct the door and try to stop anyone from going anywhere. And this is the guy the indictment says that Don Lemon trapped in and was talking about immigration facts with. Let me pull out here and see. This is the exit to the church. Now it looks like this guy has endless room to leave, but he stays willingly and is interviewed for almost 4 minutes. And that's what makes this entire indictment a joke, because they describe Don Lemon as if he's some guy yelling in people's faces, but every interaction with parishioners like this ended the same way.
I appreciate you giving me your opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And so, yeah, I encourage everyone to go watch Don Lemon's live stream of that day, and you will understand why every judge refused to bring an indictment against this guy. It's a joke.
He's saying it. I'm glad that there are actual people, because I hear stories that there are people who are in the mainstream media who are on these panels and they're just spouting off bullshit that they have no idea about. But I appreciate that someone, and it would take a streamer, right? It would take someone who is maybe perhaps an independent journalist or a streamer to actually sit down and look at the video and then read what they actually allege and then come to a consensus about what it is. So there you go. Okay. So we're going to have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in just a couple minutes. But first, I want to get a word in from our sponsors, because this episode of the Don Lemon Show is sponsored by BetterHelp. You know, February can be a lot. Everywhere you look, there are flowers, there's candy, stories about perfect relationships. You know, I'm talking about Valentine's, right? And it can feel like everyone else has life and love all figured out. But the truth is, most of us are still figuring it out as we go. Whether you're married, dating, single, or focused on yourself right now, you're right on time. And therapy can help you understand what you want, what feels heavy, right? It can help you understand things in your life and how to take some pressure off. That's where BetterHelp comes in. Their therapists are fully licensed, and they make it easy to find someone who fits your needs, okay? You just fill out a quick questionnaire, and if it's not the right match, you can switch at any time. So if you've been feeling stuck or overwhelmed, this could be a step towards clarity. Get 10% off at betterhelp.com/Don Lemon. Again, that's 10% off at betterhelp.com/Don Lemon. And support for the show also comes from Shopify. Now, when I started the Don Lemon Show, I had to figure out everything, right? Scripts, setup, schedules, branding. It was overwhelming. And when you're building something new, the to-do list never stops growing. And that's why having the right tools matters for millions of businesses. That tool is Shopify. Shopify is a commerce platform behind millions of brands worldwide and a huge share of e-commerce in the US, from global companies to creators just getting started. We use Shopify right here at the Don Lemon Show to bring you the merch that you love, that you demanded. Remember, I was like, I don't want to do merch. I'm a journalist. And you're like, no, we want merch. Lemon Nation wants merch. And so I did it. Shopify helps you design, if you're in the business here, design a beautiful online store, create content with built-in AI tools, and reach customers with email and social media campaigns. They even handle inventory, shipping, and return. So if you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Start your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/lemon. That's shopify.com/lemon. And thank you so much to all of our sponsors, okay? So I am indeed honored to have the next person on the show. You guys have been asking for her. We've been saying we're going to get her to come on. We will do it. We will do it. And that is the Honorable Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She served New York's 14th Congressional District since 2019. Congresswoman, thank you. We're so happy to have you on. You made the Lemon Nation very happy today.
Oh, no. I mean, thank you for having me. And how are you doing?
I don't know if you saw the beginning of the show, but I almost didn't make it here for you. I didn't make the morning show because I slept on the floor at LAX last night because the red eye was canceled at the last minute. I don't know if you've been there before.
Oh my
And it
gosh.
was getting to a hotel would have just been, another extra step. So we just slept on the floor with our little doggy, my husband and I, and that was it. But we're here.
My goodness.
I'm doing okay, though. I'm doing okay. When you heard about what happened to me, what did you think, Congresswoman?
Well, I think it was a similar reaction as to so many other people across the country, which is to say that this was the precipice. The administration finally has been building to this point, and now thinking that they were going to officially really cross this line. And in arresting you, they were coming after free speech in America and the entire journalistic press corps, period. They've long been building up, trying to criminalize. First, they're trying to criminalize people exercising their right to protest, their right to organize, their right to assembly. But your arrest was an escalation into now trying to outlaw witnessing, reporting, and discussing what was actually happening as well. And so we, of course, knew that the whole country had to mobilize in defense. And I'm very happy to see how unifying it was across so many different pockets and corners of the country.
Listen, Congresswoman, you have been attacked by the right, by MAGA, by this administration. You haven't been arrested, but you know how it feels to have those folks coming after you or looking over your shoulder constantly, and how they make up things that are not true, and their folks end up just believing it. Like, people believe everything that's in that indictment as if it is fact.
Yes.
And do you have any words about that?
Yes. So, I mean, this is their playbook, right? Which is in the immediate aftermath of an event. I mean, we saw this with Alex Pretti as well, which is what Kristi Noem went into, which is the moment that the government overreaches, they then immediately try to slander the individual and flood the zone. That's their strategy and the words that they use to flood the zone with as much slander, libelous statements as possible to try to get the public to believe it. And we can't underestimate the power of the platforms that they use. And so they try to use that. They use these indictments to do that. They did the same thing with Tish James, with Jim Comey, with the chairman of the Fed as well, which is just to make these accusations to try to make people believe that there's a there or a justification there. And I want to talk a little bit too about the fact that their arrest of you was highly calculated and highly intentional, as well, of course, as the arrest of Georgia Fort, who is not just a journalist who was present, but she is the president of a media and a journalistic association in Minnesota. She's also the head of Black Press. And so what they are doing in going after you and in going after her is that, they didn't go after you in the heat of the moment. They waited. And they do this because they want to set and make an example of you. And the reason why I actually think that's so important is because in that is actually an admission of their own weakness, because they know that they can't go after all of us. They know that they can't go after everyone with a cell phone. They know that they can't go after every single journalist who's trying to cover these stories. And so what they want to do is that they want to make an example out of one person that's highly visible or has a position of leadership like you or like Georgia Fort, in order to get people who are trying to do similar things to self-censor, to self-silence, to be afraid that, well, if it happened to him, then it could happen to me, so I'm not going to do it. Because they know that we outnumber them and they know that they can't go after all of us. So I think I just want to say how important it is, the example that you're setting by not backing down, that, you got out and the first thing you did was to start the show right back up again, because what they want you to do is that they want you to take a step back. They want you to be intimidated. And they did something very similar to me at the beginning of last year. I started organizing Know Your Rights seminars for people. And Tom Homan at the DOJ, or Tom Homan, who's now they're bringing into Minneapolis, threatened to. Do
you mind if we play that soundbite, Congresswoman?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, okay, let's roll it, Andy, please.
Sorry, which one?
The one of Tom Homan speaking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. That's it. You have it in the queue right now.
But Tom, you got AOC out there, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman, putting out a webinar, doing a webinar to help illegals avoid, I guess, apprehension, giving tips about how to continue to remain in the country and ultimately game the system.
And I sent an email today to the Deputy Attorney General. At what level is that impediment? Is that impediment? I'm not an attorney. I'm not a prosecutor. Is that impediment? Is that impeding our law enforcement efforts? If so, what are we going to do about it? Is she crossing the line? So I'm working with the Department of Justice and finding out where is that line that they cross. So maybe AOC is going to be in trouble now, but I need the AOG to opine on that. But because there's impediment is impediment, in my opinion. I'm not a prosecutor, but we need some further guidance on that. But again, if we have to take every federal dollar out of the city, we'll do it. I mean, we're done. This is about public safety. This is about community safety.
Okay, that's enough. It's the same tactics. You're right. It's very similar.
And this is what they're trying to do, is that they're saying, and mind you, these Know Your Rights seminars are for everybody. Because if you are a human being in the United States of America, point blank, period, you are covered by constitutional protections. There is a reason why the founders of our nation called it the land of the free, not free people. We are the land of the free, because you step foot on American soil, You have the right to free speech. You have the right to freedom of assembly. You have your protection from warrantless search. You have all of your constitutional protections. And we were letting people know that. And for that, they wanted to send us to the Department of Justice. So, there's a pattern here. And after he submitted that, we called him on the bluff. And that's what you got to do. You got to call him on the bluff. And what did they do? They knew they didn't have anything to stand on, and so they backed down. And that's exactly what they're trying to do in your case as well.
Yeah. I want to ask you what, people have been pointing this out to me, and I want to ask you your opinion on it because I don't know, have you ever heard of Valentina Gomez? She is a political candidate, and she went into an LGBTQ church, and this is what she did, and this is what she posted about it.
I quoted the Bible at a pedophile church, and they escorted me out. I would say Romans 1:32, homosexuality is a sin, and whoever supports that is worthy of death. You're not a pastor, you're a groomer. It's a satanic pedophile church. Now, leave your pride behind, get on your knees, and follow Jesus Christ. Ask God for forgiveness. Following Jesus Christ, He's the way, the truth, and the life. Do not use His name in vain, because that's exactly what this church is doing. He's using His name in vain. This church is an abomination. All of you are an abomination. When I'm in Congress, I'm taking away the 501(c)(3) status of pedophile churches and terrorist mosques. We will ban halal, hijabs, and once their terrorist funding dries up, I'm going to start buying them and tearing down every mosque one by one. I look forward to making Texas the worst place for groomers and terrorist Muslims to live in, so help me God. Jesus is King.
She was not arrested nor prosecuted.
And
no outrage.
Yeah, and she filmed it and put it out there as well. And I mean, I hesitate to even platform people like this. I mean, they're talking about banning halal, and it's like, well, you don't want chicken and rice in Texas? I don't, like, she doesn't even know what she's talking about. So, like, this woman don't even know what she's talking about. She don't even know.
I love chicken and rice. Who doesn't like chicken and rice? You're right. And especially in Texas. Come on now.
Exactly. I always feel like if you're anti-immigrant, then you shouldn't be able to eat our food, whether that's halal, whether that's taco carts, but that's a whole other conversation. But it goes to show, they're out here pulling these stunts. They're out here doing these things. And the irony of this, too, is that the act that they are trying to so-called invoke around this, the FACE Act, was originally designed to protect abortion clinics from right-wing violence in the 1990s, because right-wing groups were bombing and assassinating abortion clinics and reproductive health care providers. And so this violence was so, had gotten to be so big that Congress and we passed federal legislation to protect abortion clinics. And tucked in there, it said, there was acts about there's been language about not interrupting religious services as they are happening. The language around it is very precise. But that has nothing to do with journalists documenting any acts that are happening either.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell, you're right on about not wanting to platform, because normally I wouldn't play that, but these are such extraordinary circumstances, because I don't like to platform liars, which is one of the reasons that I'm not at CNN, because it's like, what is our policy on, insurrection deniers and election deniers? And they're like, we don't know, but you got to go. I'm like, okay, fine. So, but I mean, can you talk to us about the state of the media right now? They still do great work. Don't get me wrong. I think CNN has some of the best journalists in the world. MSNBC and on and on and on, but it is the corporate structure that they're under that provides, so that is a hindrance to them, I believe, that keeps them from doing their jobs. What do you think about the state of the media right now and the importance of independent journalism? Well,
I think, first of all, independent media has always been tremendously important, always in our landscape. But now more than ever, the already corporate consolidation that has occurred in mass media has now been hyper accelerated to an oligarchical ownership structure. So now it's not just that these companies are very big, but that they answer to one, very specifically, usually one billionaire with a very vested political agenda. And so you have Jeff Bezos, who takes over the Washington Post, not because he loves journalism, but because he needs to start controlling and ensuring that dissenting opinions do not get aired in records, papers of record. And so it's not a coincidence then that you've got Jeff Bezos that takes over the Washington Post, and then immediately takes over their opinion section, starts to take over their coverage of the 2024 election. You had the same thing that happened at the LA Times. Then when you have broadcast journalism, you have these takeovers that have happened. Of course, Barry Weiss at CBS, who, she and her wife are named in the Epstein files. And we talk about this coordination, about how you've got all of these very narrow things. Like the thing that I think is important about this, and I want to talk about why the Epstein piece here matters, is because when wealth gets concentrated so tightly, and when corporate power gets concentrated so tightly, we are no longer even talking about the top 10%, not even talking about the top 1% in America. We are talking about the top 0.0001%. And what that means is that not only does all that power get concentrated into a handful of people, it means that not only all that money, but all that power. And then what happens is that it gets so concentrated into such a small group of people that they all start to know each other. So you've got Larry Ellison, Jeff Bezos, you've got Elon Musk, you've got people that are starting to control and take over the content of what happens. It's not a coincidence that this consolidation happens at CBS, and then Stephen Colbert, who is a major critic of the president, gets deplatformed. Jimmy Kimmel gets threatened through Disney. And this is the goal. And so when we talk about independent media, as you said, CNN, MS Now, all these folks, home to fantastic journalists, CBS, some of the best journalists in America.
Right.
But we saw what happened with that 60 Minutes piece on CCOT. Barry Weiss killed it. And she's not there because she's a good journalist. She's there because she kisses billionaire butt and she makes them look good. And she executes on the censorship agenda that they want to see put out. So independent media is often some of the only places that we can get some of this unfiltered coverage of what's going on the ground, especially in places like Minnesota.
Yeah. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, we want to be very respectful of your time. You're off right on time because we want you to come back, and you keep up the great work. Thank you so much for your support, and it was indeed an honor to have you on.
All right. It was, thank you so much for having me. And, I know you and I, we choose to be in the public eye, families and partners don't, but your husband, that's a my man situation.
My man. Come here, Tim. Come here. Hold on. I just want it real quick. He has become an internet meme. I guess I'm Whitney Houston and he's Kevin Costner.
That's
there
right.
He is.
That's
He's
right.
so nice. Say hi.
I just have to give my kudos. It is not easy. And, I know that Don is at the center of this, but, it affects all of our families. And so for you to stand up there and to be in this situation, I just want to commend the bravery of both of you, and just kudos, and the envy of everyone. Everybody wants a moment like that. So congratulations.
Thanks, Kevin Costner. And thank you, Congresswoman. Be well.
Bye.
Okay?
See ya.
Okay, bye. She's so great. That was great. Thank you so much. Okay, and now a word from our sponsors, because the show today is brought to you by the Freedom from Religion Foundation. I've said it before, equality under the law only works when the government stays neutral on religion. The First Amendment wasn't written to protect one faith, it was written to protect all of us. But right now, that promise is under threat from Christian nationalists who believe that their beliefs should control everyone's lives. The Freedom from Religion Foundation is pushing back. They're defending students, families, and communities from religious coercion. If you believe freedom means freedom for everyone, join them. Visit ffrf.us/New Year, or you can text my name, Don, D-O-N, to 511-511. That's F as in Frank, F as in Frank, R as in religion, F as in Frank, .us/New Year, or you can text Don to 511-511. And you need to know that text fees may apply. Also today, this show is sponsored by something that is really making a way in the community if you want to, take control of your weight. Support comes from Lean. Everyone's talking about weight loss injections because the results can be dramatic, but for many people, weekly injections and harsh side effects aren't the answer. That's why doctors help to create a weight loss supplement. It's called Lean. The studied ingredients in Lean are designed to support healthy blood sugar, help your body burn fat and for energy, and reduce appetite and cravings. So you feel more in control when you do it that way. Lean isn't for someone trying to lose just a few pounds. It's designed for people who feel frustrated and want real support alongside healthy eating and exercise. So right now you can get 20% off plus free rush shipping. So visit takelean.com and enter the code LEMON at checkout. That's TAKELEAN.com and enter the code LEMON at checkout. And just remember, always check with your doctor before anything, okay? So I'm gonna get, I'll do the next one a little bit later. So thank you, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Let me know in the comments what you think about her. She was great. I told you guys, here in the Lemon Nation, you've been asking for certain people, and most of the people you have asked for, we have gotten. I told you, just be patient. The channel has to grow. People have to be comfortable with us, and we are growing, and by leaps and bounds. Since we just a couple of weeks ago. And look, this latest incident that happened with me also, quite frankly, helped the channel grow, but that's besides the point. I'm just talking about us in general. Everyone I speak to, including Kara Swisher, who you saw, she said, I can't believe you got to 1 million in that quick a time. And Kara is the OG, like goddess, queen of podcasting and streaming and digital media. So yeah. So I'm so happy about this community. Thank you so much. Make sure you become a member. Make sure you're subscribed. If you are a member, gift membership, because it's important. As you heard the Congresswoman say, independent media is where it's at. And it's where you're going to get the real deal that's closer to the ground, boots on the ground, as I've been doing in all of my work. As I said last night on Jimmy Kimmel, I did talk about that in the second part of the interview. Here's a little bit of the second part of the interview, and then we'll talk more. Okay, Andy.
Make no mistake, under President Trump's leadership and this administration, you have the right to worship freely and safely. And if I haven't been clear already, if you violate that sacred right, we are coming after you.
We are back with Don Lemon. That is Pam Bondi, our Attorney General, lying to us, using her freedom of speech to lie. And I think it's worth noting that last year, the Trump administration made it legal for ICE agents to enter houses of worship, schools, healthcare facilities. But they're saying that it's not okay for journalists to do the same thing. I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
You, while you're in custody overnight, we're talking about being in a holding cell, and what's going through your mind? Like, what are you doing? How do you pass that time?
Well, the entire time it happened, I said I thought it might happen, and my attorney, called them or emailed them and reached out to them and never heard back. But the entire time I was thinking that I'm a journalist, and I just start thinking in my head, how many agents are there? Who am I riding in the truck with? Like, I wanted to keep mental notes of that. I couldn't, obviously I didn't have a phone or anything to write it down. So that's what I was doing, sort of, people count their steps. I just kept chronicling in my head, what I was doing, what I was seeing, what was happening. Every time I needed to go, because it was a holding room, every time I needed to go to the restroom, I had to knock on the door. They had to come and get me and then take me to the bathroom and stand there while I was peeing. So yeah, it was
You
bizarre.
mentioned the act of courtesy that FBI agent extended to you. Were you treated well?
So not by the guys that arrested me, obviously,
right.
But not all federal agents are the same. And the guys who work for Homeland Security and the FBI are not the guys that you see out there on ICE, who have 47 days of training, who are, violating people's due process rights. They are completely different people. And I have always had a very good relationship with law enforcement, especially federal law enforcement, because I used to do these franchises when I was in local news called, FBI's most wanted, right? The Alabama's most wanted, or New York's most wanted, or whichever market I was in. And so these guys were professional, they were courteous, and they were kind, but not the original Homeland Security guys that took me in.
When did you realize that this was a very, very big story?
I had no idea. I had a little bit of an idea when I asked to use the restroom, and sort of early in the morning. I wasn't sure what time. I didn't have a watch or anything, so I didn't know. And so I go out, and they open the door to the room where the agents, they're housed, or their office, and there was CNN on a monitor. And on the thing I could see, former CNN anchor Don Lemon arrested in Los Angeles. And I said to the guy, I was like, is that, I said, is that happening a lot? He goes, you've been on all morning.
Yeah.
And he says, this is a big deal.
That's
but I still didn't know how big a deal it was, Jimmy. I swear to you. I walked out. My attorney said to me on the phone, finally, when I got out, he said, I've prepared a statement. You can rewrite it and edit it, but you need to deliver the statement. I'm like, deliver to who? Like, what are you talking about? And they said, the people who are waiting outside. And so my husband and I walk out, and I see this, I don't know how many reporters and paparazzi and helicopters. I had no idea. And I asked my husband, I said, what happened with the channel today? Because I was concerned about, that's my livelihood and my channel and my viewers. And he said, the channel's been going all day. We have your Monique Presley, who is an attorney and a friend, and other folks who were filling in for me. And they said every journalist that you know has been calling in and coming on the show, and it's been going for about 9 hours.
You got a lot of support from your fellow journalists.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Andy. And I just want to thank everybody for that. It is amazing, amazing. Monique, thank you. Charles, thank you. Katie, thank you. Jen, everybody. Scaramucci, Scott Galloway. I don't want to leave anybody out, but I'm sure I'm leaving people. I just want to thank everyone. And for those of you who are saying, I haven't returned, if you're worried that I haven't returned your text, that you're feeling a certain kind of way about it, do not take it personally. I have hundreds of texts and emails, if not thousands, that I need to return. And I promise you, I will return every one of them. So thank you for that. But also, I want to do something quickly that's going to help people before I get to the end of this. And that is because I know this time of year we were talking about Valentine's Day. We just came off of Christmas. People think that they have to spend a whole lot of money for things, and you may be worried about your financing. And so I like to do things on this channel that can help people, that give you information, just like we partnered during open enrollment for Medicare to help folks to find the best Medicare, because there's a lot of change with health. With the healthcare. And so I want to help you with this. And again, there's no obligation. You can check it out. If you don't like it, don't do it. So let's be honest. The math just isn't adding up lately between, you got groceries, you got insurance, you have everyday bills. Even families with steady jobs are feeling squeezed, okay? And too many homeowners are stuck relying on high interest credit cards just to stay afloat. That should not happen. If that sounds familiar to you, then it may be time for real relief. Right now, mortgage rates are near a 3-year low, and American Financing is helping homeowners pay off high-interest debt with rates in the low fives. Their salary-based mortgage consultants don't just push loans, they build personalized exit strategies from debt. On average, their customers save about $800 a month. I mean, come on. And if you start today, you may even be able to delay your next 2 mortgage payments. So there are no upfront fees or obligations, just a chance to see how much you could save. America's home for home loans is American Financing. So here's what you do. You call 888-675-4090. That's 888-675-4090, or you can visit americanfinancing.net/lemon, americanfinancing.net/lemon, or 888-675-4090. See, even Barkley likes it. Okay, thank you to our sponsors. By the way, guys, let's see. There was something else that I wanted to talk to you guys about today, because we did have a lot. Let me know what you thought about the interview and what you thought about. I know that there's some Epstein stuff that was going on today, and there's also some ICE hearings that were happening today as well, and I wanted to get to them, but I'm going to save those till tomorrow. And especially, I wanted you to hear from Melinda Gates, who's the former wife of Bill Gates, talking about just the horror that she had to deal with and also the victims as well. But we'll get to that tomorrow. What I want to say to you now is that here's what you do. If you want to know anything about the show, you go to donlemon.com. That's donlemon.com, right, Barkley? donlemon.com. And at the top of that page, this is what I want you to do. That's Barkley. That's not Boomer. I know they're Barks without even looking at them. So go to donlemon.com. At the top, we were nominated, which I think is very important, for 4 NAACP Image Awards, 4 of them. That's huge for an independent streamer, for a little independent journalist. So we put the steps together for you very easily because it's a little bit complicated if you go to the NAACP website. So we've got it right here on donlemon.com. So if you want to vote for us, go to top of the donlemon.com and you hit the first one where it says Outstanding Podcast, Society and Culture. You click on that, and then you go and you click my name, and it'll be right there, the 4th one, Don, and then you hit vote and then go back out. Just back out, hit the back out and go back to donlemon.com, and then go to number 2, Outstanding Podcast, News and Information, and then you vote for Don, and then you back out to donlemon.com, and then you go to Outstanding News and Information, Series of Special. That's number 3. You click on that, and then you vote for Don Lemon. And then you hit the back button, and you do number 4. When you go back to donlemon.com, and you click on that, and then you hit vote for Don. And then you back out of that. And the important one is you go to number 5, and you hit submit. And then all the way down to the bottom, and there's a submit now button at the bottom. And then when you click that button, it will populate. It'll say, are these the ones? You sure you want to vote for Don Lemon? These are the ones, put them all up there. See, it'll say Don Lemon for this, Don Lemon for that, Don Lemon for that. Okay. And then you hit submit. It'll ask you your email and maybe if you're a robot, and then you're done. When you submit it, it'll tell you that you're done. And then 24 hours later, sometimes 12, I'm not sure exactly, you can do it all over again. Okay. So thank you for watching, everyone. We have a very important thing that we're going to do at City Winery tonight with D.L. Hughley. God, am I ready? As ready as I'll ever be, I guess. I got to shave. I slept on the floor of an airport last night. I had, was in the pokey, a lot going on. So thank you for watching. I'm going to see you back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So I want you to be informed without being inundated until I see you back here at 10 a.m. Eastern time for Hot Topics, the Don Lemon Show on the Don Lemon channel. I want you to turn the TV off. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a show. We're live every weekday at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern time with new clips dropping at 2 p. and 8 p. And if you want even more Don Lemon Show content, join the Lemon community. Members get exclusive posts, behind-the-scenes videos, and live chats just for you. So hit the join button or visit our channel page to sign up. Thanks again for all your love and your support, and I'll see you.